Hello everyone, this is Christian Duke from StrengthAddicts.com. I'm here at the Spanish Fitness Media offices in Miami with Kit Sanderson. Kit, how are you today?
Awesome. Welcome to Spanish Fitness Media here in sunny South Florida, Miami Lakes.
Fantastic. We've got the MD Latino website. We've got some magazines at my suggestion here on the desk because they're just such great publications. And this interview, really, honestly, I've been waiting for quite some time. Before
I know
we get
I'm
into
an ambiguous element here back in the United States. You know.
Absolutely. Before we just jump into the meat and potatoes, I do want to ask you, how did you get into the fitness industry? Because I always like to know. Everyone always has a different answer. So what got you into the fitness industry, and also what got you into the print media in 2017?
Well, I was always into, obviously, working out with weights. I was a semi-professional sprinter for the 100-meter and 200-meter and long jump. I had a short-lived career due to some problems with my legs. I broke it twice. Okay. So my timing was a little off, and I was young and kind of careless. But I always stuck with the weights. Then I got into personal training, finished my college degree, got a post-grad degree in marketing and communications, and always around gym. I was also in the international market, and living overseas at such a young age, especially in Mexico, I saw the need for real media. Now, Mexico obviously is at the vanguard in Latin America as far as leader in telecommunications, television. Obviously, we see so many organized groups like Televisa, Fox Sports, ESPN Deportes, all these groups, but there wasn't really something for fitness and bodybuilding. Sure. And I said to myself, well, that's probably the easiest sport to get into. All you really have to do is get a pair of shorts and a tank top, or in women's case, sport bra, right?
Right.
And jump and get your gym membership and start, doing different weight training exercises and eating right. So I saw slowly what was happening in Latin America in general, and I just felt that fitness and bodybuilding needed a big push. So back in 2004, I was working in Humboldt Park, Chicago. Anybody's from Chicago know that's a big Puerto Rican area for a newspaper called The Extra, a bilingual newspaper. And I got a call from an old business associate of mine in Mexico named Scott. Was one of my mentors back in the day. Very smart man, very shrewd businessman. And he said him and his partner John Romano were going to do muscular development in Espanol. And so they got me involved. I basically do all the leg work. Was more of a case of indentured servitude. However, it taught me a lot.
That's not very far from slavery.
Yeah, no, it wasn't. But Scott was very sincere, but I think he was under a lot of stress, and so he kind of backed out of the operation. And John, of course, where's John? So that...
Who?
Exactly, John Romano.
Oh.
So where's John? Where's John? So things didn't work out very well because there wasn't a lot of passion. It was like a one-man team, which was myself, and I just couldn't do it anymore. So I backed out of the operation, came back to the United States, and I moved to sunny South Florida.
Absolutely.
A few years afterwards, I didn't really have a really good, strong relationship with John. I felt that he was somebody who was more out for himself and his own ego and his own name. And so I tend not to gravitate towards people like that. But he's a hell of a writer. Very good writer. He can be very good in PR when he applies himself. So always respected him. Yep. Despite the trash talking he did against me, I really did no trash talking towards him. A good friend of mine, Jorge Betancourt, South Florida legend, right?
Yeah.
Mr. Teen USA, lives the American dream. He opens up a supplement company and sells it. And he's living the American dream right now. He called me up. He says, "Hey, yo, Dave Palumbo and John Romano just got canned over at MD," and I'm like, "Wow." Really, that was like the thing keeping me from proceeding directly with Steve Blechman. I said, well, just for shits and giggles, let me reach out to Steve and see, hey, if there's any chance that I could take on the publication internationally and help build up the fitness and bodybuilding industry, international in Latin America.
And that's actually my second question too. You're going great. Why did you pick to work with MD, and how's your relationship with Steve Blechman? Everyone wants to know.
Well, okay, good. Steve has actually been very good. I see what Steve has done in the past for the industry. He has gotten a lot of people paid, a lot of people signed with big sponsors, including Kai Green, and worked with a lot of companies and networked and hustled and did a lot of things for a lot of people in the industry. I think there's at times a little bad buzz, but I think people forget what it's like to be a publisher and how many things he's done for the industry, not just for me, for the Hispanic hemisphere, what he's allowed me to do, but
Yeah.
indirectly paying so many people for so many years. I mean, a long time. I think it's pretty obvious what's happening in media these days. There's a money crunch. So,
Oh yeah, absolutely.
my relationship with Steve has been very good for over 5 years. He's allowed me to have the rights without any middlemen anymore, and I think the results speak for themselves. You know, I think there's some hard feelings over there with John Romano and Dave Palumbo against me, and I really don't know why. Dave and John have made, obviously, a decent product over there with their publication.
Sure.
So I don't even know why my name comes out of their mouth.
Yeah.
You know, me as a corporate enterprise, I'm more worried about how I'm going to close $15,000 a week in ad and magazine revenue.
Sure.
So, you know, Steve and I have been working together in a positive nature for over 5 years, and it's just been a really good experience. I think it's more than a franchise. I think it's more like a family relationship where we help each other.
Absolutely, and the muscular development name in Latin America, I mean, I think would open so many doors. I mean, Flex, of course, as well, but muscular development always been that hardcore sort of, you know, locker room, you know, forehead to forehead, you know, just meathead, just total crazy bodybuilding at its finest, and in Spanish too, no less. I mean, it's got to, you know, open all sorts of doors. Now, you had mentioned, you know, John Romano, former senior editor at Muscular Development, and talked about you know, your relationship with Steve Blechman, which is great. You know, a lot of people want to know, well, they want to know what happened with you and Johnny Styles at the Arnold Classic, because you know, it was kind of strange because there was that whole, you know, issue, and I don't want to really go, you know, bring up old stuff, but I don't think you really had an opportunity. I know you had put something out on YouTube, but
I took it off. Yeah,
you took it off,
yeah.
And so people still don't know. And there's a lot of sort of references to it, but what happened? And what was your side of the story? What happened?
Very simple. Johnny, I didn't realize it, but Johnny had been on my network on Facebook, my personal network, for over 5 years. My wife had pointed it out through our relationship because she has access to my accounts. She works with us at the company on social media. And, you know, last couple of weeks up to the Arnold, you know, it's just been derogatory remarks against muscular development, against Steve Blechman. And I noticed that almost every single program RX was making was something derogatory against, you know, an MD employee or Steve Blechman or MD name. And they started sharing it on my wall. And this it started happening month after month, and then turned into week after week, and then day after day on my personal wall. Obviously, the concept was to, you know, deformation, right?
Yeah.
To slander the muscular development name, somehow hoping that my followers in Latin America or in the Hispanic realm would somehow tie into that and feed into that, you know, bite into that and say, oh, MD Latino is a fake too, and MD Latino doesn't do anything for the community. And that actually backfired on them. Then, you know, so going into the Arnold, I didn't really have a good taste in my mouth regarding RxMuscle. You know, I personally had not had any confrontations with them. I've seen how they attacked athletes, organizers, promoters, and other media outlets on the web, but it's not my business.
Right.
I'm too busy making money.
Absolutely.
So it became personal at the Arnold when one of the athletes on a Friday night, the 212 winner, Ahmed, he had won his class, obviously the showdown.
The whole 212, yeah.
And we spotted Dave Palumbo waiting at the, literally, like trying to jump over the do not enter area. And that's fine and everything, but everybody knew that he was going to interview with Sean Ray first, so we had our materials set up.
Sure.
And right away Dave grabs him and stuff like that. And, you know, it's just kind of an antagonizing tactic where, you know, that's what they do, RxMuscle, antagonizing tactics and stuff like that. So Sean said, well, pardon my expression, but fuck this shit, you know. So he went over to Ahmed and said, hey, forget about it. You don't need these guys. Come interview with us. Now, I do remind you that we're dealing with an adult here and a 212-pound bodybuilder. So this grown adult, which is a 212-pound bodybuilder, at any given moment could have said, you know something, Sean? I'm just going to interview with these guys first.
Yeah.
Just wait 5 minutes and I'll do an interview with you. But he didn't. And it didn't take too much pushing for Sean to get him to the other side, where our video equipment had been priorly set up and waiting for him.
Sure.
So, in essence, we didn't really do anything wrong, or much less wrong than what they had been tagging me on my wall prior to. So it's like they threw a temper tantrum about it. RxMuscle threw a temper tantrum about something very minimal, very minimal. So is when Dave came over into our camp, and this is something that you should learn in media or in life, when you see the enemy or rival tribe, and there's about 10 of them over there, and you walk right into it, and you start a fight, well, there's going to be collateral damage created. So I said, Osmar, flip the camera on, get this on film. Because the truth is, Dave, he made a jerk out of himself.
Yeah.
In front of everybody, in front of the Arnold Classic too. Everybody saw that, and we filmed it. So MD decided to upload it, and then after a couple days, they took it down because it doesn't look corporate, it doesn't look professional, it's not our type of...
And the point had been made.
Yeah, the point had been made. The point had been made. So, unfortunately, it gave RxMuscle 2 more weeks of content to talk about it. And so, post that, Johnny Styles thought it would be clever to go onto my personal wall and use the N-word, nigga. I was born in 1977. I'm 40 years old. Young people today, in no way, no matter what color you are, it gives you the right to use that fucking word.
Yeah.
Don't use it on my wall. Don't say that you're going to rape the MD camp on Brazers or any other millennium things or memes you leave at my wall. Leaving not 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 different derogatory comments on my wall, to the point where my wife, it upsets her. Okay. Yeah. I had to block him because it looks like crap. It's unprofessional. My corporate sponsors, my community sees that, and he knows that. So then he goes on to my Instagram and starts, I'm thinking to myself, wow, psychologically, this kid is no está bien. This kid is not good. He needs to go see therapy. I don't know any grown adult that will go on to somebody else's social media and do so much. I guess his feelings were hurt, you know, and I feel bad for him about it. He should go to a group therapy session about that. And there are places I can recommend in case him and Dave need somewhere with John to get a group therapy session, because that's what they really need. They're still upset about
who's
something.
This John you keep mentioning?
Well, myself, apparently they drew my name into their videos.
But no, I'm saying, who's this John you keep talking about?
Johnny Styles?
No,
or John Romano.
Oh, John Romano. Yeah,
John
he's
Romano.
just such a has-been. I forgot his name. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
But you know, it's just like, I think the real problem is that they can't get over something that happened years ago.
Yeah. No,
I mean, if I were in there, I would invite that other person to eat.
Yeah.
Get over it. Think how we can make money together, and just move on for it. Because at the end of the day, it's still giving your competitor free advertising.
No, absolutely. And with the whole thing with John Romano, we did Iron Debate, and it was fun or whatever, you know. But I think I didn't understand. You know, I still don't understand. It's something. You know, I spoke to Steve Blechman on Saturday. It's the first time I ever spoke to him. Real nice guy, and you know, he told me, like you had said earlier, that you know he'd been very kind to a lot of people, and he just didn't understand why the attacks continued. And I think with you and Johnny, I think this was sort of a spillover of you know Dave and John and MD
using my person, to kind of
because you and Johnny have never had any beef, right? I mean, so you know, and would you be willing? Would you be open to working with Johnny in the future? Because honestly, you know, what you're doing in Latin America is huge, and we're going to talk about what you're doing marketing wise and what people can come to expect from MD Latino. But what you're doing in Latin America is stellar. What Johnny's doing in Puerto Rico and Dominican Republic and Mexico is also stellar. So it would make perfect sense.
Doing something? I just don't see him on the radar. But just don't see him on the radar.
I just think you guys could do so much work together, you know, as opposed to and especially if the rivalry is really one that's, you know, grandfathered in. It has really nothing to do between the two of you.
That is true. That is true. I mean, and that's just it. It isn't Johnny's rivalry, and he shouldn't have to feel like he has to get involved. it's really, you know, Dave and John, and honestly, I don't have anything against Dave.
Right, and it's Dave and John and Steve Blechman. Not even, there's nothing to do with you. So again,
Dave is a very intelligent person, and a lot of firms I still respect him. He doesn't need this rivalry.
Yeah.
He can just create his own media empire and do his thing, and MD will do their thing. And you know something? Both of them are going to wake up tomorrow and still be there.
But interestingly, though, they would be foolish, or anybody would be foolish to think that if they're going to go and take a shot at MD, that you're either going to stand there or do nothing. I mean, of course you're going to take MD's side. I mean, you're part of MD. Like
anybody in that circle would. I mean, Dave Palumbo really set himself up by walking into that. He walked into a trap. Yeah. Sean Ray was 10 steps ahead of him. Sean Ray is very smart. He has been in the industry longer than anybody.
And he's a Hall of Fame bodybuilder.
Yeah, he's a Hall of Fame bodybuilder. He's a professional commentator. He's networked with every supplement company in the business. He's really good with media. So I just think that Dave walked into a trap, and of course, cameras are rolling, you know. And I think Johnny was a part of that, and you know, they need to leave that behind. I certainly have. I mean, we're halfway through 2017. And I think the big issue right now is the industry has become very cannibalistic.
Yeah.
You know, not just media outlets attacking each other, but, you know, let's face it, there are not a lot of companies marketing anymore. And a lot of marketing options that were on the table before are beginning to demise.
Right. And let's talk about that. I mean, that's the next question also is you know, what are you doing in terms of marketing? And because, I mean, we see you like in a nice dress shirt, nice office here in Miami, Florida, but I mean, you roll up your sleeves and you go to these expos and you go to these shows and you do a lot of the grassroots do-it-yourself marketing as well as, you know, the sit-down office stuff. So you talk about the market cannibalizing itself, and we were also talking earlier about, you know, how important technology is becoming. You know what I mean? And how it's just
how it's replacing us.
Exactly. And so, you know, and you had mentioned a really good book that we've both read, and there's just so much going on. So where do you see the future? I mean, like well, actually, let me ask you this. There's two questions. What do you do in terms of marketing? What's your approach to promoting the name of MD Latino in Latin America? And then where do you see the future? What can people expect from MD?
Well, definitely we take a 360 approach. I mean, I can say that on camera because that's on our website, SpanishFitnessMedia.com. It is corporate, but at the same time, it's very grassroots. You know, roll up your sleeves, wear the t-shirt, the ball cap. People are like, oh, you do it too much. I'm like, no, I don't. This is what I'm paying for.
Exactly.
I'm going to do it. I'm going to be buried with that thing on my head, you know, that ball cap. But, you know, it's about the 360 approach, especially in Latin America. It really is uncharted territory. There's other obstacles out there that RxMuscle and a lot of other publications here in the United States wouldn't even begin to comprehend the legwork it takes. And a lot of this has to do with just, it's a different society out there. Politics, a lot of the countries are subdeveloped, which means media. It's a whole nother ballgame.
Sure.
It really is. I think the person who will understand this most is Jim Mannion. Jim Mannion will understand international is very different. Sandoja world versus Jim Mannion world.
Sure.
And me as a media outlet, I got to play both. I got to be on both sides. I got to be balanced, be respectful, follow the rules and regulations, support the IFBB, support the NPC, and support the IFBB amateur, because, you know, I'm dealing with judges on both sides of the world. And then other politics, like, you know, you got things like socialism going on, what we call in Spanish izquierdismo, which makes it very hard to work, and the strong points of nationalism, which makes it very hard as foreign media to come in and kind of bring up the channels of commerce in that local country, because you got to get people to understand your product and service, what it is, what it could do for them, and how they can have some skin in the game.
Absolutely.
So I think that's kind of distracted me from all the controversy here in the United States. It's just me just doing my job internationally, doing what I'm supposed to do, and bringing up the market value and equity of the international market. And
also, you know, we won't get into it too much, but I know that people that are following MD Latino and what's going on, there's also you know, a little bit of drama on the Mexican front in terms of another publication there that I'm not sure what's on there, but so you definitely have your hands full, right?
Yeah, definitely. You know, obviously MD being such a big name, it's so well developed. You know, and there are other big names out there. I mean, we're all big names. Here in the United States, even the people are just talking about, they hustle every day. I respect that. They wake up, they have their show in the morning, they work hard, and I respect that hustle. So as you become a bigger name, unfortunately, people are going to try things to steal your name away, steal your clients, and stuff like that. And it's frustrating. MD is a trademark. It's been registered over 15 years in Mexico. We have a slogan at our company. I know muscular development slogan is burn fat, build muscle, no bull, or, you know.
Yeah.
So, which we continue, but we had a slogan that was more endearing to the Hispanic audience.
Sure.
Because as a niche sport, as an athlete, especially an amateur athlete, this slogan has stuck with me since 2005, and we continued this slogan. And it's called Nunca te des por vencido. If you ever watch any of our interviews online, we always close up, and it's on the back of our t-shirt with the slogan saying Nunca te des por vencido. It means never surrender.
Yep.
And really, bodybuilding, like any other niche sport, is like an arm wrestle in the life. Vencidos, right? So that's when you think you're down,
right?
You knock them down.
Absolutely.
You know, you come back, los vences. It's a reflective verb in Spanish, vencer or to be vencido. So nunca te entregas, like don't ever surrender.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And you don't seem like the type to do that. So to close out, where can folks go? Like, what's the website? And briefly, what can they expect in the years to come?
Definitely, mdlatino.com. The reason why we built that website in this magazine was a concept I learned from Univision in the 1990s, when Univision was a huge outlet, great media outlet. And what it took is a bunch of content from around the world and kind of retaped it together and blasted it back out in the world, right?
Sure.
That's what Latin America did. That's what Hispanic fitness needed for Latin America. So that's what we do. We do that on the web, we do it in the print magazine. You can go to mdlatino.com at any given moment, 24/7, and find content from all over the Hispanic world.
Awesome. Well, thank you so very much. For Kit Sanderson, Christian Duke, StrengthAddicts.com.